Good morning.
Good morning.
Who didn't receive an email from this on Friday? So it was out already?
Yes.
Everybody did? And everyone signed that pen for the day?
No.
Who didn't know?
Thank you.
Hmm?
My name is Jessie Long.
Okay. Anybody else who comes later? And so I hope everyone had a chance to read chapter 2. Yes.
Morning.
Good morning.
Let's start. So last week we did the introduction to money laundering, and those who had the time to start to read the handouts could tell me a little bit more of, in your own opinion, what is money laundering, especially in particular to what you do day by day. Shall I start from my left this time? Last time was my right. You came in late. Money laundering. Did you start to read the handouts?
I did, but I didn't finish it.
Okay.
But like you say, how would we?
So what do you do?
Okay, I work in treasury,
Mm-hmm.
so we send out all the payments all currencies, customers to the United States. So for us to do that, we have to make sure that the payment institution is not going for any reason other than what they're saying, because some of them have to reference it.
Mhm.
So for that reason, we have to, when compliance does their check before it reaches us and treasury, for us to send out the SWIFT.
So how will you learning about money laundering assist you in what you do?
Well, for me, because I work in the treasury, before the payment leaves the bank, it comes to treasury. So for me, learning, like sometimes they'll ask us to send the payment back or to not send it out.
Mhm.
So it helped me understand why
Mhm.
the payment was stopped,
Okay.
you know,
Okay. All right. So one thing you have to learn in your role is what are sanctions.
Okay.
Okay. The other thing you have to learn in your role is when compliance says it cannot go, it means that they suspect something.
Right.
So remember now, money laundering is just a catch-all phrase. Behind all of this, there are predicate crimes. And so you have to suspect one of the predicate crimes in order to get to money laundering. So that's what compliance looks for.
Because we had a follow-up yesterday where someone sent out payment, and then our correspondent asked us why.
Yeah.
So compliance had to make a list of, like, what is the name of the customer, why he had the relationship with the bank in China, he's been doing business with them from whatever year, he's the person who sells luggage and their electronics and stuff. Like, we had to make an itemized, we had to send out a free-format message explaining why the payment had to go, was going to China in the first place.
All right.
Because our correspondent helped, we stopped the payment.
Right. Okay. So now you.
Me?
Mhm.
Well, for what I do, I'm an accounts clerk, so this is, I'm not really, in my role, I'm not really here, I just like do little things, but so far for me,
What's the little things?
like, it's just reporting.
And you don't think this is relevant to what you do?
I mean, for me it is, it's all new, so I'm just here to grasp as much as I can, so far,
Yeah, but even in filing, you can see things that just not normal. Because filing doesn't mean you take everything and just stick it in a file where it needs to go. You need to read. And there are certain things that probably may just jump out of you from reading that looks or appears to be not normal. And so in any organization, money laundering is everybody's responsibility. And so if it's slip 1, slip 2, 3, 4, someone has to pick it up. Because at the end of the day, the organization is going to be liable. So you have to take this, and as you do your day-to-day work, see how it applies. And see what questions you get asked when you come to class, based upon what you see. The same way she was able to come and relate it to something that she did, so she can get a better understanding of why things happen. That's what you have to do. So you may see documents, and they may have a notation on it, or you may see people coming to query different things, asking for different documents, and your question is why? What are they looking for? Is this in line with what I'm studying? Do they have a suspicion of money laundering? So these are the things that have to come to your mind. Next. No. First one, yeah. Okay, yes.
I'm in the compliance department, so money laundering now applies as when I deal with client accounts. Looking for anything to like hints to credited crimes, anything out of the ordinary. For example, we have a client that has a business and he sends us contracts to send out wires to certain companies that he do business with, and in the contract he would state, you know, this is a one-time payment to a manufacturing company, and the contract is December 30th, and then 2 weeks later he'd send another contract to the same company for a different amount, saying that this is when it's for a year. So we had to investigate to find out if it is, does he have multiple clients doing business with this one manufacturing company? What is the relation? Is this a constant? Is it a threat? Is there anything else involved? So we responded back to the client and asked him to give us some more information on it, and he provided that he has multiple clients doing business with the same manufacturing company. And we have to, in order for the corresponding banks, we have to make sure our end is clear, because we don't want to become a risk to the corresponding banks, and we don't want to lose a license to operate with them. We don't want them to.
So I have a client, I was gonna just.
Yeah, we don't want them to.
If this is, well, when you finish.
We don't want them to stop doing business with us, because we're not taking into consideration doing due diligence on our clients. So we have to do due diligence, make sure no money laundering is involved. Everything is straightforward, no credit crimes, because we are responsible to banks and central bank.
So it's similar like yesterday, we had a client that sent 10 million, like 415 or something like that, right? So what we had to do was to call Miami, so we can move it from our correspondent to put it in our Miami account, because we don't usually leave like a surplus overnight with our bank or whatever. So I was gonna ask if there's something similar, if you receive funds like that, the right thing to do is to move it out to your, like, I don't think that we knew that the money was coming, but when we checked, we had a credit coming, like I said, 10 million. So the right thing to do in that is to, our standard procedure, like if we have a surplus, we move it out and send it to our Miami office.
So your compliance team, like if you have a compliance payment, so is your compliance and check it'll be 4 times?
Well, we didn't know it was coming, this is what I'm saying. So you understand what I'm saying, like it came
it just
about 4:15.
Just pop
So we didn't, like
Yeah.
usually the bank, they would advise the bank, oh, well, we send them a deposit or whatever. So then every day we check in to make sure, you understand?
So that was a breakdown in the communication
Right.
between the relationship manager and the client.
Right. So I was asking, is it, so the right thing to do would be to move it out to, like not leave it overnight to your,
It depends if you actually know the client.
okay.
So this amount is a usual amount from a client that you know all of their transactions are legitimate and come from 1 or 2 sources,
Right,
then yes.
okay.
But if your client is have money coming in from a different source, then you can't move it because you haven't done your due diligence. Okay, you're next.
I used to work in the bank, Scotia Bank. I would tell them before I left. So if I was to put myself back in that position, I think.
So what do you do now?
I now work in the house. I help them in the company. Doing construction. I do it all the time. Yeah. But money laundering was.
Money laundering can take place there too?
Yeah, but I mean, to me, it was really introduced in the bank. That's where I got the whole
Right,
concept
okay.
and understanding. So for me, if I place myself there or in the area I'm at now, it helps me to become more alert. The importance of probing KYC, the importance of just looking deeper beyond the surface. Because many times in the bank, when people will come with, you know, like their little contract or a school contract, and then I have to carry it to the manager, well, this is the source of funds, no, we need something more. I was like, I need
Why?
more.
Yeah, yeah.
They
So
provide
now
me
you
with this
begin to
contract.
understand.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I learned that could easily be fraud, you know, that is more to it.
You're right.
So I learned to investigate that.
Okay, all right.
I work in a law firm, and if I'm interviewing a client who's a potential client of the firm, most likely I would have to do the due diligence, asking them for more than one form of identification. And I consider it money laundering important in that respect, so you know who it is that you're dealing with, the source of funds, whether or not this is a client of the firm would prefer taking on or simply you get taking this to someplace else. I find now that I've been baptized into money laundering introduction, I find myself being more analytical, assessing matters a little bit more keenly than I would have done before.
Yeah, okay, good.
I missed the question, so you get to again.
That's the problem of being late. We are recapping from last week. I want you to tell me how does this apply to what you do every day? And your readings, if you did any reading.
In terms of the readings, I can say it applies to the industry I'm in,
What's that?
insurance.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because during last week, I realized that for general insurance, well, I don't in general insurance, but insurance in general. But for general insurance, we weren't totally in compliance with AML, CFT, and that's about to change.
Yes.
So that part of it. But in terms of my day-to-day role, I'm an account assistant. I just do bank reconciliations. So I don't.
So you stop right there. So to link this to what you do, what's the predicate crime? That's linked to what you do every day.
My job.
Mm-hmm. What should you be looking for?
I was about to tell you, I don't deal with customers.
No. Money laundering is not just dealing with customers. You deal with figures. So you're looking for fraud.
Yes.
That's what you're looking for. Fraud, embezzlement. You also have to look at the frequency of people applying for a policy, either dropping out, canceling, buying a new one, all of those things.
The main thing is, I don't see names,
You see numbers.
see numbers.
So what does the numbers mean to you? Because it can't be just numbers. You gotta understand where the numbers are coming from. So you're posting things to different accounts. You don't post. So what do you do?
Bank reconciliations. So that's just clearing the entries that someone posts with the bank statement.
Oh, you just do the racks.
Yes.
So do you get to see any queries that come from the banks?
Yes.
Okay. So you'll be similar to her, unto her. So that's where money laundering comes in, because they're questioning you on certain things. Yeah. So you need to tie it into that. Don't tell me you don't work anymore. Let's go.
No, I was just gonna say pass. I don't work. I could.
You used to work. Let's go.
Yeah,
You know, I don't very soon.
You know, like talking.
Yes, you do. Come on, talk.
Oh Lord.
Yes.
Okay. And I worked at a Royal. Different capacities. One of them, I used to do wire transfers. I used to sell drafts. I did reconciliations, all that stuff. And usually, like for instance, when we doing a wire transfer, the information that the client would provide would definitely have to line up. And for instance, if they send out a wire, if they send a wire to a company, they'd have to send us a legitimate invoice.
But how do you know it's legitimate?
Yeah, well, that too. Well, usually, with in the case from my experience, the wire transfers that we usually send out, first of all, are for our clients that we would have already done all our due diligence on. We don't just do wire transfers for anybody. So we would have already established a relationship with our clients, and in establishing this a relationship, we would already be familiar with the companies that they're dealing with. Like I said, when I got into that particular area, these things were already basically established. Okay, so
But there's still room for money laundering.
yes, I agree. So when we're doing wire transfers and stuff, we still have to keep an eye out for anything unusual. Because okay, we know usually they're going to send out a wire transfers for probably like $60,000, $70,000, $100,000 because they're purchasing goods. So now here it is, all of a sudden, okay, y'all sending a wire transfer for $5 million. This ain't right. Something's going on here. So we, in the case like that, we'll then contact the relationship officer, and who would in turn would contact the client to confirm, okay, this what's going on here. This is unusual. This is what. You don't usually send out this amount. Are you sure this is what you want to do? Because they may be purchasing goods for themselves using Aza's check,
And reconciliation, I have to, that one is fine, right? I don't have to go into all the other
No,
areas,
no.
right? Yay.
Okay. You next.
I have a question.
Yeah.
When you do wire transfers, do you have to call back to the,
To the clients?
yeah?
No, we don't. Why? Now, I don't know if it happened before I worked in that particular area because, like I said, the clients we're doing these wire transfers for, we already, Royal Bank, have already established a relationship with them. So basically, let me put it like this, it got to the point where they would send the blank checks in, and once we've processed all of their wires, because they're sending like 10 wires, 10 wires at a time to different vendors with all of their ducks in a row. So once we're done processing the wires, we'll just go ahead and complete that one check for the total amount of all of those wires. Mind you, even though we're doing that, we're putting in the figures, they already know what's supposed to go in that check, because once let's say we make an error and we put the incorrect figure on that check, once that check clears their account and that figure isn't what they're expecting it to be, they're going to be calling us. So no, we don't do callbacks because of the relationship already established now. Like I said, I can only speak for when I hit the area. I don't know if they would have done it previously until they felt, there was a relationship fully established there as far as KYC is concerned.
So what's your concern?
No, because I know that where I work, no matter how, we have accounts with that bank for years, and they call back. They call and say, okay, I see you're trying to do a wire transfer for whatever amount. Is this correct? And
We don't
say
call,
it's on the
no.
account.
You doing it online?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. But if you're doing it in branch, then
Oh, yours is in branch.
It would have been background, yeah. Well, I worked background in our processing department. So we didn't do callbacks.
So I just recently had a call back on a wire transfer I tried to make online with RBC. And it was
RBC is a
the same
joke.
situation, but the in-branch distinction of even the reasoning behind it.
Money laundering is very vital in the role that I play, because I work in the guidelines department now, and it allows me to become even this class, it made me more aware of what it is that is actually coming in, checking due diligence, and I recall earlier this week, we had a new company that came in, and we got all the due diligence that was required, and when I did the bureau checks, I realized that there was a little hit out on this person, or the name came up in the system, and it brought an alarm. So I sent it over to my supervisor, and I let her know what it was that I actually saw, and we requested further due diligence, and it has just opened up my eyes to see that even whether it's a new company or an existing company, that things can actually still happen and take place, and it could seem so real, and whereas it could be a fraud. Like even I think there was a case as well where I think someone had did some wires, and it was a fraud, and it came back to our email addresses and everything, but like a letter in the email address was wrong. And as simple as that, you have to be so careful as to what comes in. You have to have your eyes always open to new things, because like they say, I try to remember what it is, hijacking and all of that, it could be so real and so different. It could come in forms where it seems usual, but it is beyond the usual. So it takes me to further investigate and to look beyond what it is that I'm actually looking at.
Okay. Why you look like you're praying? I like to pick on it.
Okay. New to compliance, I actually been working in the in-house policy compliance department. My role, department of itself has its functions. It we more everyday work is to satisfy the gaming board, to prove to them that we actually in compliance with the regulation. My role, one of the things that I do, I mean, how this would actually be applicable to my role, in that I monitor suspicious transactions internally.
Okay.
We actually have a threshold as to gaming activity on accounts. So, and yes, other than that, with regards to, so it was.
You have a
actually
threshold
KYC.
per client, per category, or
Um,
just across the board?
It's different categories.
Okay.
In terms of
The players?
deposit amounts.
Yeah, okay.
Frequency of deposits,
Mhm.
activity on accounts, central bank is on us with regards to make sure that we don't actually operate as a bank. So individuals, so just recently, actually yesterday, we just had a big task where we had to actually close a lot of accounts that actually didn't have any gaming activity over the past 18 months. They just did withdrawals and deposits. So so in
Yeah,
order to be able to answer that,
right.
we just had a review. And that
I
actually
can
took
see
place
that.
yesterday, and it was like, in excess of 20,000 customers. that Just use accounts.
Yeah,
for-
a lot of
for
people
the-
use that because some there aren't any banks on some of those islands, so they use
But the
it.
point is,
Yeah,
it's a web shop.
not a bank.
So you have to use the
Yeah.
purpose it was licensed for. So did you read
I'm proud of you all.
the 2018 narcotics report from the United States? It speaks about web shops in the Bahamas and being used for money laundering.
Interestingly enough, it says like just and in terms of like we have requirements from the gaming board with regards to KYC, there's a self-attestation form that you have to complete. We don't have a limit that you can actually open up an account with in terms of what you deposit on the account, but we had someone that actually came into a store. That was maybe like in January this month on a Saturday afternoon. $14,000 cash.
What?
They want to the account to get. If you have $14,000 in cash, why would you want to put
Yeah,
this on the account?
exactly.
US.
Oh, no.
Man, they slow now.
They tell you God. That's why they can't.
Oh.
Of course, we do exactly.
Oh.
But did you file an STR?
Right.
See, he died their client, so he.
No, doesn't matter.
No, I know.
Yeah, you should have filed it.
Making a little card.
Because you can still be liable, yes.
Yeah, if they find out.
The company can still be liable.
And then that information, how would we complete? We're saying that this individual.
Yeah,
came in,
mm-hmm.
that he did.
It's an attempt.
Yeah.
Attempts are also reported. So that's, again, now you see if you read the Bahamas report from the CFATF, this is what they're talking about. One, we don't have the amount of criminal charges they're looking for. One, we don't have the amount of STRs filed. And even if you look at the attempts are not even coming in. Because the FIU says that all of the filings that come in are defensive. That means they're filed after the fact, when you read it in the newspaper. So that incident should have been filed. And the police would have picked them up.
So it could be violent.
Yeah, you can still file it. Because the thing is that one he didn't do it, but guess what? If he goes and talks to someone else, then he'll do what people do in a bank. I'll send her the deposit $1,500 on her account, send that one the deposit $750, then he gets all of the money in, and then they start transferring it, or however way he wants to do it. But it will get in.
They say follow the money, right?
You follow the money.
You just said last week that it isn't until a report is made that it even is aware that something might be going on.
Yeah.
So he may not, forgive me, but you
Yeah.
may not know that what this individual's been doing, but when the authorities then see
They
the
be able to
pattern,
see it.
Yeah, so.
And it may be a person that is known to them from the police side.
Mhm.
Because from the FIU, it goes to the police. Okay, good. Your turn. You see how interesting this is? You'll come to learn this. Morning. Yeah, late again.
I've been in the banking industry for a while, mostly between compliance and documentation. My job is mainly to ensure that the documents are in order, also doing world checks. and, you know, access taxes and
Mhm.
all those other things. We did, my previous, institution did signature verifications and things like that. We also, I've seen some things over the years, and, so, you know, makes you having to really read between the lines, because sometimes if you have 10 accounts on your desk and you need to go through them, you know, for compliance review or compliance reviews first, and then I get them, if they say approve, and then I'm going through the documents and I'm like, okay, hold on, how do you have a minor as a beneficial owner, but yet you approve the account, you know?
Yeah,
I
those
say
kind
no,
of things,
you
right.
say yes, so we have a problem,
Mhm.
you know,
So she brings out a key point for those who did intro and those who didn't. When you go into this field of compliance, and even if you're not directly, one thing you must read is the central bank's AML guidelines. You must know that. If not, then you need to read the Securities Commission money laundering rules. And these stem from the FATF 40 recommendations. And they're built upon the Proceeds of Crime Act and the Financial Transaction Reporting Act and the Financial Transaction Reporting Regulations. And add to that, the Anti-Terrorism Act. So you have to familiarize yourself with all of them. Next.
Good morning. Very intrigued by the wealth of experiences that are coming out here today. And based on the readings that you were speaking about, it really highlights a lot of the situations, whether it be the insurance dealing with wire transfers and, the banking and et cetera, but the beneficiary aspect of it now that needs to be a part of it, stemming from the CDD and KYC, more robust approaches. And then when you speak about the anti-terrorist, our reports were saying that our terrorist enforcement and legislation was sufficient. And you said that over the last 4 years, no convictions, etc. One that was I think, pending, or it was extant in court at the time. So I see that they're trying to do that. From my perspective, I'm in the legal environment like Mr. Brown, and I think it's everywhere, like you said, money laundering. But I think the focus is on the predicate crimes. The fact that the predicate crimes are now, there's criminalization of like tax evasion and other things like that to help you recognize those things. But for me, it's been more in terms of tax, CRS, back end things, and advising private clients, banks, private offshore banks, of whether they are stepping outside of the ambit of our legislation. And I think recognizing, while it might not be an STR, we can recognize when they provide us with their report that's done by their internal persons, whether there may be things that don't comply with the practice of the legislation, etc. Also, the KYC that you have to do if it's in corporations, etc. You want to know your beneficiaries, you want to know addresses, you want to know persons, you want to go behind the veneer, if you will, to be more transparent.
Yeah.
So that's been my experience with it, but I'm much more intrigued with getting into the weeds, like compliance with these persons who really are there on the front line and in the back lines. That's my situation.
All right.
Good morning. I've been in the banking industry for about 5 years now, Royal Bank. I worked on the front line and I worked in the cage. So, with Royal Bank, they usually clean their tellers that haven't come out, to any type of unusual transactions. Some of them, it is easy to look over if you don't have an eye for it, because when clients come in the bank and they just want to do withdrawal, once the signature verification is correct and the eye can speak to it, we feel as if it's okay. But sometimes you have to close the client and check the account and all that stuff. So, going into the cage, we deal with a more vast and bigger amount of clients with larger amount of money, and that is important. And you also have to make sure cover yourself, because in the end, okay.
I know.
Yeah. So make sure cover yourself. And there have been first example, we had a client, a government client actually, you know, whereas they were coming into the branch and they were withdrawing like large amount of cash, like they don't want a draft, they want like $190 in cash. And we have to like put them on the side and go and take it out of our treasury. So I mean, it raised the flag for all of us in the team, and we started doing our due diligence. So for me, I set up my UTR because I really said, call yourself, you know, and we kind of thought of the right part because for what that government person do, we don't see a lot of it going on in the Bahamas. So I mean, you know, we get these things right. But I turned it over to my branch manager, and I guess she dealt with it from there. But I mean, I'm not in the branch anymore. I recently went back around to do loans. I mean, even so, dealing with that, you still have to, you know, your KYC and do your due diligence as well, because when you're doing the client's background and loans, you still have to check their account and make sure everything is correct before you put it through. So, I mean, coming into AML and compliance, I really want to get, you know, like this gentleman said here, like a real understanding and have an eye for it to know what's really going on in the world and how you can see to make, not really to make it better, but just to have an eye for it and to know what it is that you should be doing. So at the end of the day, you know, nothing can fly over your head and you know what it is that you should be looking for. So I want to know more about compliance and AML, and in the future, I would like to go over into the compliance field. So it's just a step.
Sure. I could add this. You do loans at Royal Bank. I did loans at Commonwealth Bank. I worked with for 9 years back in positions. But doing the AML now, it opened my mind to think back at Commonwealth Bank. You work a certain place, you come in, you get a certain amount of money, up to 50,000. So I would have young clients coming in. This week I went 5,000. Next week I went 10,000. And we would go to one manager, the manager would be like, well, they've been in last week. What's the money for? And then we go to the other manager, they could get it, book the loan for quota. So now I'm thinking back to proliferation of the weapons, the problem that we have in the Bahamas. And you have young guys coming for 5,000, 10,000. What are you doing with this money? Drug trafficking is, all these crimes are high in the Bahamas, and we at the bank are just giving out the money. As far as, once you bring your KYC, you fill out the form, your salary deduction, you automatically get the funds, and you get it cash. What are you doing with the funds?
And then you pay it back with the legal funds.
Young people,
Yeah,
especially
18,
like
19.
the defense force guys,
Even
they
during
overextend it, so they owe the bank like $100,000.
KFC, Subway, McDonald's,
Because when
Yes,
by
we
the
buy
time
it.
they
Wow,
get
trust
money,
me.
they-
No.
They spend it all.
No, they don't buy a car all the time. They don't come get their car. Now they coming back 10,000 vacation, 10,000 personal. Come back next week. I need 5,000 right now. I need it. And then we even had persons that had criminal backgrounds and stuff that we were still giving funds to. So it's a real eye-opener.
Ms. Archer, you know, I forgot to mention in reference to the wire transfers and stuff, we also had to be aware of the sanctions, which countries, and the sanctions that were placed on those countries. I was like, wow, that was interesting. Now that part was interesting.
And they change everything.
Okay, right? I was like, wow. You know, you learn, well, why can't I send this wire to this particular country? Check that sanction to stay right there.
Change everything.
Yeah.
Who knows what he'll do next?
Good morning. So, as for me, I am in the banking field now, and we are considered the gatekeepers of our bank, and the unit compliance officer at the branch. So before any client is onboarded, I ensure that they are who they say they are, and to make sure that they will be performing as they say they will be, transacting as they say they will. And if they were to go over, for instance, if you have a $5,000 threshold, monthly threshold, and you were to go over that, we ensure that they complete the CERT, the TSF form, the source of funds form, to ensure they say they get, and provide supporting documents to ensure that they are getting the funds, that the funds are legitimate. So forth.
But we all know that a lot of funds are illegitimate.
Right.
Just like Karen, I too am in the banking industry. I am the unit compliance officer at the bank as well. So I am responsible for training. So it's my job to actually drill into the heads of doing our due diligence and actually being nitpicky is what they like to call me, but I am the police officer, so when I say no, I need you to understand why I say no. Because if you're about to onboard a customer that says that they are a mechanic, they work from home, but yet their expected deposit activity level is 50 to 199,000 per month, where's this money coming from? But you sat there, you said you had an interview with the customer. Did they explain what's the additional consequence? Can you prove that? So, you know, doing the interviews with the customers is important because we don't really know exactly where the funds are coming from, and it goes back to bill of sales and ASU agreements and whatnot as well. You have to actually analyze the documents. So it's very, very important. We see a lot of crafty people coming in.
Everybody's crafty.
Trust me.
What the young lady said is very interesting, I think, because you speak about the vehicles of money laundering being so diverse now, you know, especially in everyday life. You know, you spoke about it. What are they doing with the money, right? But the compliance officer, I was speaking with somebody who's in a well-established bank. She's compliance officer head, and she's saying one of the most difficult things is speaking to her bosses or her persons who are her peers, you know, heads of other departments. Like, no, you cannot do that. We will not allow that. They say they got a new client, all this money, and there's a big client for the bank or whatever, and you now causing a problem, you know, obstructing business.
Yeah.
But it's all risk-based now. And
Yeah.
you're the head, you know, that's going to be guillotined as compliance head or whichever position you're in for not doing what you were supposed to be doing. I think that's important when you're thinking about the dynamic of the role.
That's why
You
they
don't-
report to the board.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Paper trail galore.
Yeah.
Make sure your back is covered. Go to the,
Yeah.
exactly the board of directors, etc. But that's something to be aware of. I think when you're even going into or considering going into the field, if you don't have that
Yeah, you gotta
disposition,
have that. Yeah.
so to
But
speak.
you can't be seen as being a
Hindrance.
hindrance to business,
Yeah.
because otherwise the business will die.
So Ms. Archer,
So that means,
sorry for interrupting. So what are the countermeasures that the person in that position have to take? Just reporting to the board, is it? Or?
no, you answer to the board as head of compliance, but to be in the role, you gotta have the experience and the knowledge to know how to make the business work. This means you must know the laws. You must have contacts in all of the various agencies in order to find out how can we do this business in a legitimate way. And you normally cover yourself by getting legal opinions for whatever area you're not familiar with. You see what I mean?
Spread the risk.
You spread the risk. So you get a legal opinion. So if you say you're bringing in a fleet of Lamborghini cars to a certain set of clients that you have, my first question is, who's going to service these cars? Who sold you these cars? Wherever you imported these cars from, are they a licensed dealer for Lamborghini? So you say you brought it from Timbuktu, then I ask you to get a legal opinion as to whether or not that firm is licensed to sell these cars, and can they ship them here, and whether or not the invoice that you send is reliable, and you spread it.
Right. Because we had
You see?
a lot of
And that's thinking outside the box. Not saying we can't take the business,
right.
but there are lawyers out there, and you go to either a lawyer or a tax attorney, whatever expert you need, and you get the information you want.
Yeah, we had a matter with securities and not securities, shares, sorry, in foreign companies, and there was conflict of laws and where's the seat and all the rest of it. But there was a Cayman opinion, U.S. opinion, Bahamian opinion, and one other jurisdiction. So that whenever anything, point fingers,
Yeah,
you
it
pointed at
goes
the
all
right
over.
person,
Yeah.
exactly, but not
You
just
get
on
it from
one
all
side.
realms, you
Right,
see?
right.
Because every country's law is different.
Yeah.
You can read someone's law on the internet, but if you're not living in that country, you're only just picking the law and just interpreting what you see in black and white. Just like you here in the Bahamas. If you say, I want to do financial corporate service business, you just go, Bahamas of it, or this is the act, but involve much more. Because you got to go through exchange control. You see what I mean? Then you got to go through all the VAT people. All of those things are not in one page, and they don't say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And that's why when a lot of people come to do business here, they find out that they say it takes a long time. Because if you're not familiar with it, then you get discouraged.
why do you not, you did last week too, you don't put the FCSPA. Why do you not put them on the list there? Because you know the most recent money lenders rules,
Yeah.
that would cover, what's your
Mhm.
name, sir?
Byron.
Byron's, exactly what Byron's talking
Mhm.
about, his arena of work.
They're about to revamp that too.
This is true, because
Yeah.
the industry came
All of
back with
these.
all sorts of things, but,
Yeah, all of these.
but I'm just
But I
wondering.
wanted to put them more under tax evasion.
Okay. I just was wondering because there's a huge money laundering or anti-money laundering framework within the FCSPA, dealing with training.
Based upon what they do.
Precisely.
They provide services to
Right.
these entities, which we're gonna talk about now.
Floor is yours, ma'am.
All right, so, that's general money laundering. So then we're gonna talk about tax evasion and tax avoidance. And you know, in certain jurisdictions, everybody should have gotten an email.
No, I didn't get
Who didn't get it?
it. Last one.
No, most of us
Who didn't get it and didn't sign up on it, on the second sheet, need to sign up on it. Okay, let's step back. There are certain, no, go back further. Small countries in the world, after World War I and World War II, everybody's trying to find a safe place to put their monies. One of those safe places were little small islands around the world. Most of them were colonies. And so even though there would have been natives there, they were ruled by people from the big countries. And they used these small countries in order for it to be like a safe haven away from the home country that was going through war. So my money won't be there in order to be confiscated by the government. I'll take it away where it can be safe. So if you look back from World War I to World War II to where we are today, the whole world has evolved. Those countries now, there's no more war, except in the Middle East. But in most of those countries where this started from, which would have been in Europe, those countries now have advanced to the point that they need money to support their public infrastructure. And so they all got together and said, where is the money? Because a lot of people are rich. They're not rich from new money. They're rich from old money. And they look at how many years have gone by and they have not taxed that old money. So there are certain countries that are categorized as tax havens, which means they have a lower tax regime than North America and Europe, Canada. So on top of the list is the Bahamas. I'm reading it for you in the handout I sent you all. Bahamas is top. Yes, we are. Second, let me read it to you. It says Bahamas. Profits of U.S. controlled corporations as a percentage of their GDP in 2004 was 43.3%. With this alphabetical order. Next one was Barbados, 13.2%. Bermuda was 645%. BVI was 354%. Cayman was 546%. Guernsey was 11%. Now remember, Bahamas was always more European focused versus US. Jersey was 35%. Liberia was 61%. Malta was 0.5%. Marshall Islands was 339%. Mauritius was 4.2%. And the Netherlands Antilles was 8.9%. These are tax havens to the United States. So, when you read your notes, it talks about tax evasion versus tax avoidance. What's the difference?
Avoidance, they find ways not to
Okay,
get
and
those
evasion
taxes
is
out.
illegal. So what do we do here in the Bahamas?
What do you mean? Which one did we do?
Yeah,
I think we do avoidance.
Avoid.
Illegal,
Illegal
Good
tax
both.
evasion.
Yeah, we do both, right?
We do both.
We do both, yeah,
Tax
okay.
evasion number one.
They're actually blended into one.
Right.
So how do we avoid taxes in Bahamas? To be considered a tax haven?
You don't have income, right? Income,
You don't declare?
No, we don't declare, we're not, but we weren't.
The two
We were
ways
not
to look
required.
at tax evasion avoidance. One is domestic, one is international. So if we take it from a domestic point of view, why are we considered a tax haven?
No income tax.
because we don't really have a structured tax.
We don't have a structured tax framework,
Right.
which means we don't have income tax.
First of all, they need to increase friggin' salaries.
Corporate tax.
We have it in a way.
In a way.
Yeah, we have corporate tax. We have corporate tax for banks, because they have to pay tax on their profit.
And insurance.
We have it from a corporate tax in terms of local companies. They pay on their returns. So there is a tax.
Okay,
We don't pay estate tax.
right.
What other tax we missing?
Sorry, I have that now.
No, you have real property tax.
Yeah, that's what I said, you have that now.
You have VAT, which is very low.
Excuse me?
Compared to the 40.
You trying to get beat down or something?
I am serious.
Compared to the 40.
The value is 15.
Thank you.
You all wanted 7.5. That is why customs cannot go down, because when you put the two together, they come back to what they want it to be. You cannot sustain a public infrastructure at 7.5%, whether you all like it or not.
Yeah, but see
When
the
you go
problem
to
with all
other
of this,
countries
right?
and you ride on the smooth road and lights are working, and you have
See,
to
but
pay
you
for
know
it.
the base problem
You
with
have to
all
be
of this
real. You
is
have to
they're
pay
not
for it.
paying people
Whether
anyway.
you like it or not, you have to pay for it.
Yeah.
See, Miss Asher, my problem
Yeah,
with
big
this,
idea.
my problem with this, Miss Asher, they need to do something with the
going there.
salaries in this country before they
No.
can be taxing these.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay,
no,
all right,
no,
okay,
no.
okay. I stopped.
Inflate it.
I stopped.
So you put
Not like
inheritance
so
tax.
much as they call things.
These people, they will be paying $100 and $150 a month, man.
Okay, if you look at us versus other Caribbean countries,
I'm
the
interested in
salaries are
that.
high.
Yeah, but we know that. But
And then
still,
of
our
course,
salaries,
we
our
have-
cost of living is so high,
The
and the
cost of
salaries
living
suck.
is too high. Because
It
even the
is.
people who are here as foreigners who live here, it tells you the cost of living is too high
is.
compared to the quality of what they're receiving.
Thank you very much.
Okay?
Very true.
So if you look at it, yes, but this has to go up. It has to go
Whatever.
up.
So
They
you're
just
gonna
need to
put-
collect the other
I think
taxes.
that's
Still
the option
not
first.
It's like that.
Yeah.
But they probably
And bring in
need
income
to-
tax.
And bring in income tax. Inheritance tax will come under the estate tax, yeah?
Yeah.
And what about capital gains? That's this.
The problem, if you institute that right away, you will stifle growth. You see that here?
Okay.
Yeah, you'll stifle it. What else we missing?
I
You can
don't
tax on
like
gas.
it. When they do it,
With that price,
The only way to run a domestic economy is you need money.
Miss Archer,
And the only way to get money is to tax.
in
So
your
if I take you back even
experience,
before World War One, go back to biblical times.
interested.
There was a tax collector. How do you run a country? You need to pay taxes. You have to pay Caesar. You have to go and throw your coins in. And that's what you need. So this is us, and this is why we're in the situation we're in now.
Miss
Minus the
Archer,
personal finger lifting,
in your
which made it
experience,
worse.
in your experience, income tax, what do you know it to be? I mean, like, what is the percentage? I mean, how do,
Some countries have up to 40%.
in Jesus'
Mhm.
name.
Yeah.
So when I only making $100 a
The
week?
difference is this.
Salary.
The difference is this. When you get sick, the government will put you in a condominium. Well, in Canada, they put you in a home.
I'll take a
Everything
one-room
is taken
shack.
care of.
Yeah, well, that's it.
Mhm.
That's
And your
40%,
quality
yeah.
of living doesn't change. If she decided now she wanted to have a baby and stay home, the government will support her. If he became disabled and he has children, the
Okay.
government will give him a check and his children who are minus a check.
And that's only for persons who actually
Yes.
pay this income tax, right?
You have to pay it if you're working.
No. Damn what I asking you, Ms. Archer. What I'm asking you is that's only, those benefits are only for persons who are paying this income tax, right?
No, they have a social benefit. That's like how we have NIB.
That's, so you trying to tell
They're two
me.
different things.
So, hold on, I'm trying to understand, okay?
Okay.
So I pay an income tax. I pay this 40%, I get sick, yada yada. They put me up and all that good stuff, right? Next person not working. They pay no taxes. When they get sick, do they get any of these benefits?
No, they don't.
Okay, that's all I need
Yeah.
to know. I just need to know I'm
Yeah.
donkey paying for no one else to donkey
NIB.
Of course, you have your NIB here.
get benefit from.
And the problem with NIB is not that you're not making your contributions.
And that's
when you work.
why.
It's whether or not you'll be able to be paid when you retire.
Thank you very much. Thank you very
No,
much.
the amount don't matter. The
And
amount
Miss-
is already calculated. Everybody knows if you call NIB how much you will receive at the age of 65
That's
or
right.
70 or 55, whichever one you choose.
You have to have
The
your own
point is that
pension
whether or not the
savings.
money will be there for you to receive is a different story. Two different things.
And Ms. Archer, this is why a lot
Mine
of
to be there.
people.
Mine could be there. I don't know about yours.
A lot of people, they like to say, oh, that's one particular person. My daughter lives such and such a place and she makes such and such a this amount of money, and all I said in my head, sweet girl, that's okay. X amount of that such and such a money what she making.
Yeah, that's gonna
going
pay
straight to
taxes.
Uncle Sam, so don't do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, she making that, but by the time they finish, she only getting that.
Yeah.
So don't do it. You know, my thing is a lot of, they like to put
So
these
when
things
you
out
take
there,
the salary
but
that
you
they
want,
make,
come on.
And you take off the income tax, then it'll roughly come to what we're making without any other tax.
Yeah.
But they still have to pay more taxes.
Ah,
Because remember,
Okay.
you drive over this road, you
thank
pay a
you.
tax.
That's right.
You go to this restaurant, you pay a tax.
That's right.
So there are a lot of taxes.
And you don't have
pay.
one in your house.
But all of that is
Pay
to
tax on that
sustain
every
the
year.
country.
Right.
So let's take it from an international perspective now. Why do people come in?
Sunshine and sea.
I suppose to say.
Before we implemented taxes, we were not required to report.
Sun, and sea.
See.
No
Okay,
taxes.
so I see a lot of people going to the airport and none carrying sun, none carrying the sea. So why are they here?
Yeah.
They're putting their money in it, all right. To hide from the who? The IRS? So the Bahamas promotes what?
A good way of living for them. Tax evasion.
Structuring.
I say potholes.
Promotes.
No, not potholes. Their roads are big.
Exactly. International.
Notice, their roads are big.
Yeah.
Very well. Yeah, that's on the domestic side.
Yeah,
They're not
that's
paying
fine.
enough taxes.
Exactly.
Okay, so it's well structuring. And how do we structure an asset protection? Those are the two main things we offer. And we do what they sell over there. I call it mental home.
What would you say insulation from political risk would come under wealth or asset, or would that be like another category?
You mean the ones who are from Latin America?
Mm-hmm.
I know we have some of that,
Yeah, right.
but they still hide when they come here.
Yeah.
They don't come out.
Okay.
So how do we do that? And then sun and see. How do we do this? How do we promote these things in the Bahamas?
Asset protection.
Raw product.
Products.
Yeah, without insurance. Whatever.
And those products are
Right.
trust,
What's icon?
It's a fund.
fund.
Okay.
Foundation.
Mm-hmm. Anything else? So we offer certain products.
Mm-hmm. Insurance, you go there too, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, anyway, let me don't say that.
What?
Because I believe they do money laundering.
Who?
I got enough.
You mean a product or a company?
A company.
Bahamas is a big entity.
Oh.
I'm real estate people.
Yes.
I believe they.
Well, that's where these fall
Yeah.
under.
I seriously believe they in
Okay.
it. They in
And
it.
they get these products through right? Banks and trust
I
companies.
really think Miss Ashley, let me take it there so I can
Financial
reach
corporate service providers, real estate companies, attorneys.
Boy, let me tell you. Miss Archer, and I, no, seriously, this, I always wondered about this particular real estate company. I don't care what nobody say. And like I say, I won't call any names, you know. I
Financial
sure
corporate service providers.
that's where they Boy, I tell you, boy.
We also have family offices.
Excuse me.
So, to OECD and the USA, we are considered a tax haven. Because of this structuring. The pressure's on the Bahamas now because they're saying that this structure and this structure over here, they don't speak to each other. Here you have low tax. What's the taxes on this side? What taxes do they pay, these people?
You mean the fees and stuff when they come to open the trust accounts and all that?
They pay annual fees. They pay annual fees. That's what they pay. Indirectly, what do we get from fees? That flows into a tax structure. What do we get? Just fees. And so what the OECD is saying is that these entities here must have an economic reason to be here in the Bahamas. They must contribute towards this domestic economy.
Boy.
Because this is not a level playing field. You have this, but what are they giving to you?
Well, that makes sense.
Makes sense?
Because if you come in, if you wanna go ahead and quote unquote invest, and you wanna do stuff in my country, you need to put something in.
All right.
But now, Mr. Archer,
Okay, go ahead.
so now we have to ask these persons when they come, when they say, okay, I wanna open a trust here in the Bahamas.
Mm-hmm.
So now they're asking us, they're telling us we have to implement these taxes in order for them to open these trusts and ICON and these other stuff, right? Or, you know, how we can do that without these people saying the hell with you all?
Now you get into the key question now.
I mean, my purpose of coming here is so I don't have to deal with all that.
Exactly.
Who are these people? Anyway. And you know when I say these people, you know who I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
The big
So
white
they say
niggas.
that these products that we have here,
Yeah, I know. That's a contradiction.
they say these here are being used for money laundering.
Yeah.
And one of the predicate crimes of money laundering is tax evasion.
But are they putting as much pressure on the other tax havens as they are with us?
It depends on who your parents are. We have none.
So you might as well let Queenie them stay.
Yes, that's how you play the game.
Yes,
So you send your children to a party, and the 4 of you stay, and the rest of us just send them. What do you think gonna happen? The ones whose parents are there, they will look after them. Don't go run there. Don't play with that one. That one is not nice. Come back over here, Joe. But the rest of them, they all beat up each other. No parents are around.
So Miss Archie, do you think
Yeah.
if Queenie them was still, you know, running things, you think it'd have been a bit easier? When I say easier, not the
Remember
regulations.
Remember now, we got rid of Queenie those because of taxation.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
We're being taxed.
Okay.
We were being taxed.
So I mean,
By
like,
them.
how do you?
We produce, they take. So we cut that off.
Yeah, that's right.
They control what you do. They say where you go.
Yes,
So
that's
you would have
right.
always been a maid.
Yeah, that's true. That's right.
You couldn't move to the next ladder. So you had to cut that off if you wanted to become a people of your own and determine your own destiny. So what we did was we learned from those same people, the Queenie people, who would have done this for their people. And we became good at it. Till others came to learn it from us. Some have taken with it and ran in a different direction.
I want you to help me understand.
Yes.
I'm sorry, guys. I just need to understand.
Mm-hmm.
Like how we talk about the other little islands or the little countries
Mm-hmm.
having basically a pillar to fall back on, and we have none.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking Queenitos would have kind of been our pillar, but like you said, we got rid of Queenitos because of what was going on, what they were doing to us.
Mm-hmm.
So we basically couldn't win in any instance. I mean, who would have been, we didn't have any pillar.
No, what we try to do is form a pillar on the region, regionally.
Okay.
But regionally, we're all not on par.
Okay.
You all are very arrogant, expensive,
No, we're not.
compared to them.
We're not arrogant. They're the arrogant ones. We just,
They call that survival mode.
no, they're very arrogant. We're not arrogant. We're passive people, and in some cases,
They
unfortunately.
don't see us as passive.
What?
Behemoths we
No.
are.
They don't
We
see us
are.
as passive.
You think of, anyway, okay. All right.
We're not seeing, in their eyes, we're not seeing that way.
Okay.
And you see them aggressive because it's survival. They have to survive. Because you could imagine your currency being 246 to 1.
Like, that's Venezuela.
Jamaica.
I have to,
Think about it.
No, I mean, I was reading this article.
Imagine that. You just
The
find
money is
$246
literally
there,
nothing.
$1
He's
US
using
dollar.
the
What
money
would
to
you
make
be
bags.
And then they watch it, and they watch the payments.
What would you all
$1
do? Exactly. It's called survival. You become aggressive to survive.
So they don't understand these are dollar-based people. how they
Exactly.
spend it.
And that's all it is.
That's not
It's
just
survival.
Wow.
Yeah, but don't call us.
That's interesting, right?
It is.
No,
I like the
arrogant, they're
perspective,
not
but I think
arrogant.
it's just gilded, like, we have the silver spoon and I'm out,
Yeah.
right?
But
So
the thing is,
we're
we
seen
don't.
as being
Yes.
entitled,
Yes.
but we've never been in a position to have to hustle.
Exactly.
246 to 1.
Exactly.
In which case everybody would become aggressive and stuff.
Yes.
Uh,
You know what it is to survive.
Right.
And so that's the situation we're in right now. We have to learn how to survive.
Mm.
So now they come in.
And we have to fight.
It's interesting. But we don't have the,
We have no one behind us.
Nope.
There's no army.
and no pedigree.
No.
You know, I mean, we ain't gonna learn, who teaches us how to fight? We don't
You
know how
gotta
to
learn
fight.
on your own.
We're a prairie nation, so I guess we'll go to God and answers.
God already moving the hurricanes and everything.
He washed away all of that. So you stand now and you have to fight.
But I think Bahamians.
Let me tell you, anyway.
Yeah, I think they know how to fight.
We could.
But this is a imagine now if
we just do it at a different level than they do.
That can't happen. It can't happen if you don't play ball. Imagine now.
And
with
see,
all
that's
of
the
this,
thing
with
there.
all of this tax evasion and tax avoidance, who was the first to put pressure on us? The U.S. So imagine if we decided to play hardball.
But see, Ms. Archer, that's one of the good things about us. Don't
Imagine we
mind.
decided that we were not going to comply. We're not doing this.
We're gonna comply. You know why? Because we don't want our way of living to be affected. So we're gonna comply. And that's the difference between us and those other people. See, they stubborn and they ain't gonna comply.
They wanted you to do.
But that's still but to me, that's still a form of oppression.
Thank you very much.
But what the United States was doing different from the other countries is they tied all of their tax evasion and tax avoidance on their currency.
Because the US dollar.
Yeah. They link everything to their currency. We don't have an international currency. We have a domestic currency. We can spend it here. So that means that when these set put pressure on us, what do we have to do? We gotta comply.
We have to comply. But we will.
You don't have a choice.
We will. And we're not going to fight it. You know, that's why I'm telling you, with the other countries, more than likely, they're going to fight it because they don't want no one to tell them what to do. See, but us, we're used to standard of living. So, as long as you're not asking us to sacrifice anybody.
But it's more than that.
We're going to go ahead
and
and
look at some of these other countries, not just the Caribbean belt. Because you have offshore centers in Mauritius, Samoa,
Yes,
Malta.
I agree, not
Those
just.
people may not have a queenie, but they have residents from the offshore who are loyal to their jurisdiction. They always know people will come from here to come there. We don't have that. We wait on cruise ships. And the minister just finished saying that the visitors on the cruise ships spend more money in the other Caribbean countries than they spend here.
That's true. If they're off the boat, they don't have no money on it.
None whatsoever.
The cruise
Because they just tell them.
pay the money on the boat, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just tell them that nonsense.
Yeah, which is underhanded
Yeah.
at best, but.
So, this is where we are now. So, for FATCA, it was attached to the dollar. They didn't look at our products. They just said, our currency is going through, and you are a resident, and you have a U.S. post office box, and you meet the required threshold, report it. CRS is saying everything is based on where you are a resident. And so this one looks at where you stay. And if you look at the products that we offer, the products are geared towards what? The wealthy people.
Yeah, yeah.
Who have residencies all over the world. And so each one of those countries wants you to report.
So we have to police their people for them.
We have now, the CRS will basically close them. Because, you know, FATCA take the majority. So
Yeah.
the last couple of customs after CRS and
Yeah, they will take them. Because if you have not declared your tax, the tax amnesty now will probably take 20% or 30%. After that, it's going to take half or more.
So these OECD people are relying on there being taxation treaties so that they don't get taxed in all of the various residential countries.
Yes.
Countries of their residence.
So here we are on the Bahamas. We have to report by the 1st of September. No ifs, no ands, no buts. we must report to multiple jurisdictions around the world. So that means that all of the existing tiers that we had, which is tax exchange agreements, have to be amended in order to include a provision for that. Because one of the reasons why we are labeled a tax haven is not just because of low income tax, it's also because of what we've been selling from World War II. Blacklisting was because of this and money laundering. Tax evasion and avoidance is again on confidentiality. They say there's nothing confidential when you have money that belongs to people who are resident in our countries. We need to tax that. And so by amending this agreement, you waive this confidentiality by remitting the balances of the beneficial owners of these instruments. Because each one of those countries need those funds in order to upkeep their domestic sector. So I say to you, what if? What if now? Don't get all panicky. What if? What if? What will we get back? What if we went out on the world map looking for our money? No, we would. Because don't forget, it's not based upon the currency.
Okay.
It is based on
We get some.
the
Trust me.
beneficial owner.
Thank you. I could call a couple names for that anyway. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We get a couple dollars. We get a couple dollars, man.
So hopefully, with the amendment from the CRS in these tiers all around the world, it includes a reciprocal provision that we in turn can go back and ask, do we have any of our citizens in your country with bank accounts with you?
Do you know if that's in discussion?
No, I don't. They haven't sent a draft one around. They're running out of time. But I mean, these things can always be amended because everybody's wondering, where is the money? Where is the money? And I think before we tax ourselves, not talking about it from the CRS, we need to find out where it went. Instead of being spent, but really, where is it? So the same way other countries are out there looking, it is like a fishing expedition, but it's predicated by law. If you have it, you must disclose it. That's what all of this is about. So we do this structuring, which is not illegal. But the OECD said we have to put a structure in place. We must tax these entities. And they also found out, and I think it's from the leak, remember we had a leak? That these entities do not provide audited financial statements to the government. So they want that requirement put in place too. Which means that when they get the next leak, they'll be able to say exactly what's in these products.
What do those do, though?
Yes, it depends on the
IBCs,
nature of what they do.
Banks and trust
Yeah,
companies.
but some of these are one-man jobs.
Okay.
It's not true, but the companies that do a lot of layering to get to the use. Company
They use all of these. Because it doesn't matter how many products you have, they're looking at who owns it. The one man at the top. So the US didn't take the approach of looking at the one man at the top. They took the approach of their currency.
Yeah, they should.
But I'll tell you now, effective the 1st of July, the beneficial owner.
There's an amendment coming.
There's a new rule came out. All of their banking institutions have to look at who is the beneficial owner.
And all
So they're gonna take it from two aspects, to see who is evading taxes and where.
And all this because Sammy Joe don't
So
want
you know,
to
the
tax.
United States have their big database with all of their FAT reportings. The OECD will send their information on the 1st of September, all of the countries who have signed off. You may come back and tell me when the United States decides to attach their plug to this plug and cross information. So we here in the Bahamas have to figure out a way and how to address this predicate crime. How do you know when a client is coming in that he's either avoiding or evading taxes? How do we do that?
So they
How?
I will say that.
Most of them come there wealthy. So how do we know?
Shouldn't they, because of all these regulations, right? The person, the company, the trust, when they come to open this trust, right? Shouldn't they bring some sort of proof, affidavit stating that, okay, you know, you have to pay your tax. to
So you
your
can ask for
country.
tax return, the latest tax return.
And they have, no,
Yeah,
I mean,
you can
I
ask
want,
for that. You can ask them for a copy of the latest tax return filed. But remember now, these people born in one country and live in more than one
see, I try to
jurisdiction, and they may only file a tax in one country. But they may be liable for taxes in other jurisdictions. Because remember, if I own 5 houses all around the world, do I really need to tell you all of that? Do I really? No.
No, I won't.
If the purpose I come in here for is just maybe to set up a company to put funds in to save for my grandchildren, or in event something happen, or I may be trying to incorporate a company down in Nicaragua somewhere sometime in the future. Why I need to tell you I have a house in Dubai, I have a house in Nigeria, I have a house in Australia? That ain't relevant to you.
I agree.
And if you ask me where I born, and I tell you where I was born, and you ask me where I'm a resident for tax purposes, and I say, oh, my house in Canada, you wouldn't know. So how do you protect yourself?
I try to, I can ask you that question.
How? Because again, if you look at our class yesterday, they say, last week, they said, we're not filing enough STRs for money laundering here in the Bahamas. And if you look at it again, from this aspect, from what we're talking about today, we're not filing any for this. So we're in a hot pickle, domestic, regionally, and internationally. From last week,
Because of you.
we're in a hot pickle for what? Drug smuggling, human smuggling, gun smuggling, corruption, all of that. This side, we're in a pickle for tax avoidance. Because it's a thin line between the two, you can't tell until an investigation begins as to which one the client is actually doing.
So then in the event of you investigating, you find out that they are evading tax, what procedure do you to maintain the correct investigation?
But again, I put it to you, how do we mitigate against that risk? How? I don't trust that.
Me neither.
I don't trust that. Put anything on paper.
Yeah.
I like to go this way. Again, it depends on the structure and the client, and how diversified the client's structure is. Then you need a legal opinion. So you see, besides knowing a little bit about all of these, and remember I told you you can go and you can read articles on these to get an idea of how these trades work. And depends on the market that your customer is in, you have to go and read. Remember I used that word typologies? You have to know how that business works. And you only can know it if you read. Or you can watch Pablo Escobar on Netflix. You figure it out. So this is where we are today.
Question. Is base erosion profit sharing, is that kind of like the new tax avoidance 2.0?
That is an extension. No. FATCA, when it came out, was to do the same thing.
Okay.
What FATCA did, by making its currency the prime focus, would have looked at U.S. companies that were doing the same thing. U.S. companies having subsidiaries all around the world in low tax jurisdiction, offsetting their profits by sending it to subsidiaries in low tax, no tax.
Got it.
So European using this base erosion, BEPS foolishness, same thing. They're looking at it from a structure point of view.
Got it.
So they're still talking about these same things. But they're saying is that it's the corporate, it's the company base erosion profits, which is profit shifting between onshore company to an offshore company.
Got it. So, did you probably do know, there was the BFSB released for the industry to give feedback, a recent bill.
Multinational.
Multinational.
The threshold is too high.
Okay. But the purpose behind that is
So we don't put all of these in there. I don't think they will accept it. If they accept that, then that'll be good. But we may have to give up something else. Because the threshold is so high, most of these won't be covered.
It's 800 million.
It's 800, it's 800.
It's
high, it's very high. It's very high, and it will cover a lot of these. And the thing is that if you have entities that going to reach that threshold, you have enough time to diversify it and put it in another name. That's what we do. We're good at it.
So when we decide to tax these trusts and all that, will we be creating our own percentage figure, or would those people in charge do that?
Everything to do with CRS has to go to them for approval.
Okay. So even though we say, okay, we're gonna tax them 1%, they say, no, you have to tax them 10%.
They're not gonna give you a figure, they just tell you we reject.
Okay, all right.
But right now,
Until
you have
we
to get off the list.
Can we come up and say Thursday?
No.
No, it's not.
Now, the same act, the same bill that he spoke about, that went to them already. The whole plan as to how we're gonna connect these two tax structures together went to them. They really rejected a part of it. No, they communicate the differences as they come back and forth. But what the Bahamas is trying to do is looking at the other offshore jurisdiction that are not on this list to see what they have done or what they are doing that we can use in ours and send it to them. And so if you come back and you tell us we can't do this, and we knew we got that from jurisdiction B, then we have to fight. Because it won't be a level playing field. So this is on the international front. This is where we're being attacked now by the OECD. But if you look at the Bahamas from a domestic, we have that here too. Because a lot of people do not pay their taxes. We won't talk about NIB, because that's automatic. It's just misused. People don't pay real property tax.
They need to be prosecuted.
But they, when you go to the banks now, just say for a loan.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
right.
the first thing they do, we have to
That's
check
right.
your property tax, you have to bring that in. And
That's the song.
Right, so it takes a while for the system, for the
Mhm.
wheels to turn, but at the end of the day, all of this will come together. And then you can put income tax on the top of
And
it.
remember how you spoke about protesting last week?
Yes,
Okay.
you gotta protest. Because your holes are gonna become graves.
If you, you're gonna implement income tax, right? So now we're paying income tax, we're paying the VAT, we're paying whatever other taxes they implement, right? There's no donkey reason. Things should not be the way things need to be.
No, I
Of course,
agree.
so when things are not the way they're supposed to be and are you taking all this money from me, okay, now, we need to, what's the word again I use? I don't forget. We need to protest.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, we're gonna teach the people now, get up and make some noise.
I agree.
Because we only already making $50 a month and you're all taking all this money from us.
But you realize that if we lose this business,
Yep,
the middle income is gone.
yep. So now we have to find a
Under
way
the
to please
pressure, under
everybody.
the international pressure from this side of the business, y'all can't go into this business. So what you gonna do?
We tell you last week, pineapple and sponge, let's bring it back.
Yeah.
Oh,
Rodney Bunker said never. But I'll tell you, they legalized marijuana in several states, but they can't bank it.
No.
No banks will take them.
I ain't blaming
Like
them.
the gambling,
Same
so,
thing.
nobody's
Same thing.
legalized, nobody's taking them.
I don't
No
blame
one
them.
will accept money. They can't open an account. Because they're saying they don't know their clients, they don't know where their clients come from,
So,
right? Uh-huh. So that's another dilemma that they have, and that they have to try to figure out how
anything goes in
they're going to
Canada.
bind
Only
them.
within the state,
Hmm?
only within their state they can bank it.
Mm-hmm. But they want to go out because they want to make money.
Wanna expand,
They want to expand. So it's a problem.
Eventually, I think it just makes sense to properly legalize and monitor and whatever.
The state have to make that decision
So, Ms. Archer,
Because, you know.
at that level. Hmm? We just say what? Say implement at 20 years until you retire?
Yes, to a double job, this is going to be. Yeah.
But remember now, when they first started was 2000, so they're 20 years later. So another 20 years from now, you'll be dealing with another crisis just like this, because this is a crisis. In 2000, a lot of banks left. Plenty.
A lot of banks left, and, I mean, that was prior to 9/11.
Yeah, that's prior to that.
After 9/11. it was
Yeah,
like, ugh.
yeah, more or less. In fact, all the US clients came, took their money out and gone.
Bush was sending them lists like
Yeah.
10 a day.
Mm-hmm. So here it is, you're here now, where the European countries are telling these persons, pay taxes, or when we find out, you'll take all. So they're all doing, most of them are doing voluntary disclosures. And based upon what fines they have to pay, if it was their little pocket savings that they put aside, it's gone.
And then the thing is, let me go back to my country and open an account there. Because if I-
Yeah,
I
whatever
file
little bit you
here,
left, you open it over there.
me coming in and I still have to pay.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
might have been the Argentinians, they had to, send something back to their central bank, saying that they had an account here, who the owners on it, what the balance was.
Argentinian banks.
I think it was Argentina, it was the customers that are from Argentina, I
Mhm.
think it was Argentina, one of those South American, I think it's Argentina.
Yeah.
And they had to say,
So what
How
you,
much
so what
money
we
they
could do
have.
is we could start income tax, and then we could do a tax amnesty,
right, some
Where you
amnesty,
declare?
something, right.
where your assets are. Because if you find out otherwise, by reaching an agreement between these two parties,
Right,
We
because they had
take
a
all.
certain date to do it, and if they didn't
If they
receive it
serious.
by that time, they had to take was
And I
another
don't know
issue.
who all have the cojones to do such a thing. But me there, I'll do it. I'll do it.
Yeah.
Because the amount of money that flowed through this country from 1973 to now, we shouldn't be in the state that we're in. Lampposts falling and cracking. Seriously?
That's right.
All the right. See what I'm saying? Like, where did it go?
Corruption is taking the money.
So now we have to satisfy. Oh, wow.
Yeah, right.
Those persons.
So they say this on the news, picking up.
More talk, yeah. So, to the international market, these vehicles have been used for tax evasion and tax avoidance in the Bahamas.
So I think the confidentiality aspect of it is also incredibly important in relation to keeping our markets or keeping our economy.
But they say, I think BFSB said last month or the month before, that we need to get rid of this, being labeled this.
Exactly.
But how can you do that if this is enshrined in our law and this is what we call a common law principle?
Yes.
We got this from case law in England. We follow English precedent. So how are we going to get rid of this? And this is enshrined in this. And everything that we offer is built on this. No, we still have this problem. No, we still want to follow this. But we enshrine this in law as one of our features as to why you need to come here. It's not just sun, sun, and sea, but it's sun, sun, and sea, and you can close your eye and go to sleep on the beach and no one will bother you. Because no one knows who you are and what you were.
Disclaimer, nobody used Queenie on the exam, all right? Throw that in there. No, but I just joke. Canada was able to approach this from a legal standpoint, this confidentiality aspect, and say, no. You're not going to now completely absorb the industry of its confidentiality principles. But we took that up here as two very established lawyers, but it went nowhere. And I think a lot of that has to do again with the backing of a parent or no parent. I mean, Canada's standing is very different from us.
Yeah.
Obviously, in being able to fight.
Yeah, they're different. Yeah, but they're big.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're a big country, bit small.
Right. So I agree with you completely that it's probably going to have to be removed. But how? And if it's not, then we're going to continue.
Because it's practically diminished now with all of these treaties.
Exactly.
These treaties just go in on the top of it.
Right.
But it's watered it down because when you read the confidentiality provisions and you know what it is in law, but you have these treaties on top of it that does away with this, it's already watered it down.
Exactly.
So by the time they finish with this and add that into this, then there's no more confidentiality. Because that means that when you onboard a client, they're going to sign. You can send it in any way you want in the world. Just send it.
But they're keeping the stigma. They still call us the haven.
Yeah, and they're going to keep it there, I think, until all tax havens, more or less, or offshore jurisdictions agree to remove it. If you remove it, and then you put in a whole tax structure that's equal across both international market and domestic market in your economy, then they will say you're playing with us. But remember now, if that happens, we're dead.
Yeah. So they want us to assimilate at what cost?
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, we don't have an economy like the United States. We don't have one like Canada. We don't have one like England, or Paris, or Spain. We can never get there. Even though we are a chain of islands, there's only one island, 21/7. So how can we compete? We're really only operating this whole thing just by paper first and now by machine. Because if you look at the shrinkage of workforce in the domestic market, which is about to become in the international market, we'll really only be a machine-based middle layer in the country. Won't be that much people. Everything will be virtual. And that's what we will do. a virtual world. Then what will they do next?
So your proposal or your taxation provisions, so we could get some money back for our own economy, at the same time comply.
Yeah, we have no choice.
Yeah.
We comply,
Uh-huh.
but we take our automated / human elements, and we move with the world trend and become a tech country.
Okay.
Become a tech country. Everything is, we are already on a technological platform. Everybody has seen who's been in banking, as long as I've been, has seen us move from paper to AS400 platform, big machines, to move just to desktop now, and flash drives, got away with that, to just one platform. And everything hinges from one platform. So we move away from paper now, and just do everything on the computer.
They did a blockchain seminar the other day, and they were talking about that type of technology not being able to be hacked, etc., and everything, or be
Anything is hackable.
true, but not in terms of on the, like with Bitcoin, etc., on the exchange level, on the wallet level, but just in the relation to the document itself being embedded, if you will, in a series of transactions. I think there's a lot of advantage for us there,
for us.
in real estate, in you know, in even
Because the government wants to move the domestic economy in that direction. In terms of all of this features for taxation, move it all there. On technology. And at the same time, if you have a chance and you've never seen a cashless society, go on YouTube. Look up Sweden and Amsterdam and see how you catch the bus, all by technology. And that's where they want to move the domestic economy. So what if we move the international segment the same way? Technology based. Because that's where they are. These, that's where they are. And they can't regulate it now. That's the problem that they're having. All the money that they're looking for from their residents who live there with them, they can't get it because it's already on a technological level, out there in the cloud.
This class is depressing.
Really deep.
So I hope you read your notes, so you know when you get your essay question, you know how to apply it when I ask you.
Let me get that.
You have a headache? This is interesting.
Final examination.
Yeah, the final exam.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Final exam.
You can send it early so you get started.
No.
I like that.
All right.
So, Miss Archer,
There's a question on every chapter.
I need you now to show me the bright side to this
Okay.
concept.
She wants a bright side.
Bright side?
Yeah, she wants a bright side.
To what exactly? To all of this?
To the
Wealthy people always evade or avoid taxes.
We're just looking for a way to live.
I need the bright side
Yeah.
for us, for my country,
But you already have
because
plenty of money,
all
right?
that is
We just trying to
that
live comfortably.
I mean, come on.
It's not.
I need the bright side too.
She wants a
what
bright
they're
side.
trying to do to us.
Bright side from what? International perspective or
Yes,
behavior?
because international. Because I mean, I know they're just trying to collect their money, but they're gonna hurt the heck out of us, even if we comply. Because if you all can't find a way to please the customers and please all those the different organizations, it's a problem. We're gonna be.
And you take it all on.
Yeah, because I have children. I have a 10-year-old.
Find out the generation.
I have a 10-year-old.
Other ways to bring persons into the other than banking,
Uh-huh.
and we need to
And
give
you want
more
Okay,
information
so
to
here
them.
is now,
Innovative
bring me the,
other ways.
bring me
Get these people to
the
come.
bright side.
That is the bright side.
That's the
There
bright
should be
side.
That's the bright-
Identifying
We move the
new
technology.
industries,
New ways.
technology, money coming
New
into
ways.
our country.
Yeah.
Utilize the same framework that they
Yeah.
have against us as an advantage to what we
Yes.
On that type of business. I mean, because to me, it seems like it's going to more or less regress and go back prior to when you even had the, into trading and people
I
taking
am
their money
telling you,
elsewhere.
because,
It's like,
exactly,
separate that, take it all back to where it was in the beginning.
yes.
And now you're gonna be starting all over again.
In a new world.
You set up the
It's-
trading
it's-
platform, right, Ms.
Yeah.
Archer?
See, because if you can tell me,
Yes.
even though,
And then the trade offshore, that was one of the laws.
Yeah.
what's the purpose of me, what's the purpose of me taking my money out of the country if I still have to pay taxes?
Yeah.
They taking it back?
Yeah.
On the bad.
Yeah.
How quick?
I don't know, but he's,
So much
a lot
money.
of stuff that Obama put in place.
Yeah, he's reversing.
Yeah.
So that's kind of stuff, and if they don't have a date.
Child, I would, I would go to Canada, he might still stay.
But if you look like, I think like, if you look at history, right, like Ms. Doctor was saying about the World War and all the rest of that, and that's how this industry was generated, that had to come from somewhere. So before that happened, it didn't exist. So in the same way that if we scorch the whole land now, a new tree will come up
Yeah,
from that
something will
burnt
come up.
ground, you know?
Farming.
And it can take some time and it'll hurt and it'll
Farming.
See, that's the problem
Yeah.
right there, that time it's gonna take.
Exactly.
Start exporting, always importing, always importing.
I remember now, when you talk about import and export, there are agreements for that too. There are international regulations as to the size, fertilizer, how you transport it. That's a different realm.
I look at Brexit as being an example for this. That was Europe's thing. Bring them all together, common market, we'll all get strong.
Right.
Then they had all these ones, I'm being very
Yeah.
basic here, but we had all these
The
ones
weak
like
ones.
Greece and bring them down, bring them down. So Britain said, hold on, we got a strong currency.
But that was the same thing with the Bahamas too. When they wanted
Exactly.
all to become one,
Right.
free movement of people.
Mm-hmm.
You could go to Barbados, you could go here, you could go there. The Bahamas and being none of them places.
Exactly.
We get it up north.
Exactly,
It's
right?
a problem.
So now UK is saying, I'm out, right?
Mhm.
And they're in this whole new world. Nobody knows what it's going to be like because trade was huge,
Yeah.
you know? And like, are we still going to have citizens being able to be in that market still? But, you know, what? And they're going to figure it out. Like, we need to figure it out
Yeah.
to reinvent ourselves.
And they have intentions now with all the other people, all the other races in there.
That's right.
Whether or not they're sending them back home. Because it's a drain on their economy. So there's a lot of issues to think about. And we have to find a way to survive.
I think that is bright, though. Obviously, you hurt. You know,
Yeah.
you do something wrong, you get beaten. I think we did something wrong, but,
Yeah.
but the pain is go away. What you do afterwards.
So while we fight them,
Like Christmas week.
Exactly.
yeah.
So let's keep
That's true,
looking
too.
good.
But the thing is, they will come, these other nationalities will come in the Bahamas to live, and basically they're trying to take us out, slowly but surely.
Yeah.
The Chinese, the Jamaicans, all of them.
Chinese, they need to get flicking bombed out here.
No, they ain't gonna do it.
I'm so sick of
The
that
government
hatred.
alive, bad with them.
I am sick of them.
I need to learn that.
That's no, that I'm just saying, that's where it's going.
They're gonna do everything. They can pass this reform to them.
I started to read, and I'll do it more in the summer because I need daylight. Because you know, to read with this kind of like hurt your eyes.
Yeah.
But if you start to read the history of China, you'll see why the Chinese are the way they are. Again, it's just like the Caribbean. It's aggression.
Okay. Them people,
They,
they'll stay right there.
they were trading opium with England. They had war over that.
You and you
They
know the
supply them.
But
They
England
so
at one
serious.
time or the other was
They serious.
In charge of that.
charge of that.
But that's
And
what
they
they
prejudice bad us.
They went and lent money all around the world. The people now
As
who
they
are
got strong.
dependent,
It's strategic.
They
And so
blocked
we have
foreigners
to
in.
not be proactive, but be strategic. And we have the mind power here. We have to learn how to be strategic. Where do we go next? And who do we need to align ourselves with? In terms of from a financial status, who can help us to get where we need to go in order to survive? That's where we are now.
Is their greatest ally.
For sure,
They don't like
exactly.
the fact that China's
No.
super here.
No,
Because now China in their backyard.
yeah. but what are they doing for us?
Yeah.
That's the question.
No, they did some stuff for us, what the hell we gotta do for that?
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
No, I think it's to allow them to stay here.
That's all.
Yeah, yeah, they want key things. And be very careful how, yeah, how we allow them in.
That's why I say Bermuda don't allow anything over 100 years on the lease. Allow
Yeah.
no firm ownership. China don't allow people.
No, you don't want to.
Exactly.
No.
And
And that's
I
the kind of
think-
policy we need to put.
Thank you very much. Why are we
But
just selling?
hold on now. We as a people, they're buying homes. Cause like I say, behemoth like things. I have a old house Grammy left there. I'm not
Thank
even
you
gonna
very
live there.
much.
Chinese say, how much you want?
Thank
How
you.
you want for it?
It's actually the same way. Why are you selling the
They're living
land?
there for 6 months to 8 months, and then
Thank
they
you.
buy the next one, and
Thank
the next
you.
one, and then you see a 2-story building. and
Thank
truck
you.
below. Come in.
Yes,
You do it to yourself.
I have a problem with that.
Yeah,
They
everything is
come together,
strategic.
they say we'll send one child to school. We'll
Yeah.
all pool our resources. They do their
But you-
businesses
but
together.
you all
We
don't do
wouldn't
that.
do that. No, heck no.
You wouldn't even do it as a family.
No.
You can imagine your father had a business, and there's 6 of you all, and he died, and all you are fighting.
Yeah.
And every time you hear a behemoth who has money die, everybody fighting.
They fight when ain't no money.
Yeah.
They don't know. Worry has already given each one of them a responsibility. One son have the place out, Carmichael, who is to sell the supplies and stuff.
Yeah.
One running the bookstore.
And they're educated.
Oh, yeah.
You go to school and get educated, you come back in the family business.
Exactly. And he was here, so already given them what they're gonna get.
Uh-huh.
That's true.
But that's the thing, is that in the Haitian society, you give to your children what you have for them when they are, when you're alive.
Yeah, so you guide them.
So they
Yes.
know what is theirs.
You do give it
At
when you're
the end
there,
of the day,
because they don't know how to
they
run the
don't fight.
business. And they
You know.
learn to protect what's theirs.
And if you don't work for, but if you don't work it and you don't take care of it while I'm alive, and I see that you're not responsible, I will take it back from you.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
All right. So
Well,
this is ours.
I agree with you though. But,
So what are we going to
Because
do?
when I die, you ain't gonna squander what I work hard for.
Okay.
but you were sick and
I'll
and
sell it and
the
go.
oldest
I'll
one take
go
care
on
of
a
you.
cruise
Yeah.
for a
And
year.
now he get it. And like, oh, that's mommy favorite.
Yeah.
Now we fighting for everything.
So we've grown this. We've
Mhm.
grown this. This is ours. Everybody came to us. We're the first to do this. The bees. We're the first to do this. We're one of the first or the second to do this. We mastered this from the Europeans. So, what are we gonna do? And they say that those vehicles are used for tax evasion and tax avoidance, and that we are committing crime here in the Bahamas. What are we gonna do?
We will find a way to get the tax and still keep our customers happy.
How?
I don't know. But we have to figure something.
Like you say, it's a model of survival, because you take that away, then we pretty much.
So again, it's like, what we were saying earlier, when you're in compliance, you have to find a way in order to survive. You have to see where is the market moving to. How can we survive? All right, have a great week. Last day with me. Yes.
You lied.
Very interesting.
Yes.
Miss Asha, you ain't serious.
Yeah.
Now these people get be as interested as you are.
You always say that. You'll survive. Yeah, I'm at the end. Just before the exam.
It's going on.
That's why you enjoy life every day.
Oh, that's what I thought.
Every day you just
Maybe I should ask.
live it as you last. 'Cause it's so crazy.
Because I wanted to. Just look at it.
could be kind of fun. You know what I mean? All right.
It's the same thought.
I know you will.
No, I have to say
You have a great week. All right. I got it. Take it.
I think the reason I sent was just short answers. Right? It's on the same thing. Huh? I know that, but I mean. You can do it. You can pass it. No, why? All those who did their reasons so far. Already.
So just go.
You know.
What's that? This is depressing.
Especially working in the industry. Where the sleeveless.
I am telling you, and then when you have young children. Okay, bye-bye. Miss Archer, I was trying, I didn't ask in class because I couldn't really remember. But I was trying.
What's that?
Okay, remember in trust law, right? Mm-hmm. That was part 1. It mentioned about the client presenting an affidavit in reference to paying taxes and that they know they're going to be responsible. They have to pay their taxes in their home or whatever the case may be. I was trying to tie it in with all of this, like how you were saying, and me saying, oh God, I forget the question. Oh,
But he could still be avoiding taxes.
So even if we ask them to present this, right, and they present this to us, and as far as we know, they paying taxes. Okay,
Because remember now, how they do the tax laws is that the onus is always on the resident.
So
So what they've tried to do is they've tried to attack offshore centers by making the the bank liable.
It just, I mean, I know there's nothing we can do. We have to comply, and we will comply, but it's just blatant, not right. It's not.
Hey, it's not personal.
No, I know. Basically, they want us to police their people, make sure that people pay their stuff. But I guess if they save the money here, why not?
That's all it is.
Lord, let me carry myself to my bed. Okay, what was that? Was actually so look here.
What? Why? You're not working?
I was working. Remember, forget I was work in the club in the night.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I tell you I was work Friday and Saturday nights, I work in my brother club.
Yeah. That's only 2 nights.
Yeah, that's why I at least be tired Saturday morning and Sunday morning.
Well,
I be helping out. I be helping out, you know.
Them other days you need to stay.
Yeah.
That's what you need to do.
I certainly know you got housework and then I just come up here to read.
Yeah.
So you're not able to contact you directly.
Why? What for?
No reason, emergency.
Such as?
Oh no, I don't understand.
I don't. I can't give you a reason.
Oh no.
I talking about email though. I don't know.
Yeah,
Just talking off the top of my head, really, you know, but it could be something that was out of your sections, not necessarily somebody's, you know, that just wanted to.
Let me see if she knows. What's my email? You remember? She's too busy on her phone.
Oh, sorry, no, Miss
What's my
Archer.
email?
I don't know. I have it written down in my thing on book
She got
somewhere.
it.
In my,
You got it.
Miguel on, yeah.
in my trust book
That's my
somewhere.
email. That's like underscore
Oh, okay.
at Yahoo.
All right.
What's that?
What's this one? UWI? Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. At yahoo.com.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, and we'll.
So let's put an M in the middle. That's my middle initial C M.
Sure, yeah. Underscore UE
Uh-huh.
at yahoo.com. We'll see you in week, God willing.
Wait on. By then, y'all should be well versed